Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Hal, Quail Studios Guitar. So glad you're here today. Hello, Bob. 60 miles per hour plus gusts. Amazing. Well, today we're going to talk about D major chords, and I love D major chords. I'm going to tell you a little bit of something about my experience from D major chords, and something you should know really about how they work. Let's see if my keyboard works. Yep, we're good. Okay, so let's put on some chords on the screen here. D chord. Let me move that around a little. Just going to put it into the screen just a little bit more so that people can see it on all the devices that they're looking at. So this is a D major chord that you normally see in a book or something like that. Clunk. Let me move this down just a little bit. So this is the chord that I learned. This is the way that I learned how to play it, just like that. This is my hand position before I put it on. D major chords, you know, hand position is really important, and the position of your guitar is important not just in D major chords, but in any chord that we play, especially bar chords, right? You've got to be able to put the guitar in a certain place, and that's one thing I really love about moving the guitar around, right? It's really great. A piano or a keyboard, on the other hand, it stays in one place, and unless, you know, it's a small one that you can actually move around like an accordion or something like that, you're limited. A guitar, you can move all around. It's really great, and you can get it in the best position for playing chords and notes and vibrato and doing all kinds of things like that. Okay, so you'll notice my wrist right here. Let's see if I can get it. See that right there? It's just, my wrist is very straight. My thumb is over the top, and one of the reasons I put my thumb over the top, because in fact, my hand is very close, like this. See that? Close to the neck. It's not like this. Now, if I was in a different position, I might use that kind of a positioning like this. But I'm going to do it like this, put my thumb over the top, and mute that low E string because the E string is not part of the D chord. It clashes with the D, clashes with this D, right? I mean, it's okay with the E, excuse me, there's another F sharp up here, so it clashes with a lot of what the D chord is, so you do not want that, don't want that low E string in there at all. So here you go, there's your D chord. Now, okay, so here's a D chord. Let me put the D7 on here. Now, D7 is a wonderful chord. A D7, what's the difference between a D chord and a D7? You'll notice that right there, that third fret goes back to second fret, right? And if you learn the D chord like this, then you may think that the D7 would look like that, right? Because that's an easy way to do it. You don't want your second finger on the E string like this or like this. It makes it very difficult. Am I doing that right? Especially with your D7. I can't do this, you know, because this is not the way I play it. Anyway, you want your hand to touch like this on the D and on the D7. But when I was first learning to play guitar, and I was about 13 years old or something like that, I started when I was 12. And there was a song that went from D to D7. I don't remember what the song is right now, but we were playing a D chord, and then we went to D7 really quick. I couldn't do it. It was like, okay, D7, right? I couldn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I couldn't do that. And one day I was playing, And I noticed, wait a minute, there's a D7, and if I take my little finger and I put it right there on the 3rd fret, then I have a D, and it's like, oh wow, cool. Then I could suddenly play D, D7, and I didn't have to move my hand. These 2 fingers stayed in the same place, and it was magic. And I started doing my D chord like this a lot. Well, in that particular song, I don't remember what it is now. And I got used to that D chord like this, and then I would take this finger and I'd move it up to my G chord. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, especially my G chord videos, you'll notice, and a lot of times when I'm playing the G chord, I don't play this B note on the A string. I always mute it with this finger. Makes it sound more like the bar chord, especially the low part of the chord. See that? So what I do is I play the G chord and then I slide that finger back, and there's my D chord. Now, you'll notice that this finger, in fact, I just did that just now. I accidentally hit a couple strings that I didn't want to play. Hear those? Like that A string. So I take this finger and I just touch that string and it just mutes it and it's gone. Because that D note is the bass note. So you'll see me do this a lot, or sometimes you'll see me put my hand over like this, my thumb, excuse me, and mute those strings like that. Or like this. Depends on where I'm going and what I'm doing. Okay, so there's our D7. Let's go on. Oh, we already did that. D sus2. This is an interesting chord. And it's important that you know your notes for, you can build chords if you understand a little bit about music theory and if you understand a little bit about chords. Here's a D. That's the D that we play right here. Okay? And then there's the 2. D, E, that's the E right there. But the 2, in this instance, if you look at your screen right there, on the right-hand side, you'll see that E string open. So it's like the D chord with this finger up, right? And there's a D here, and then an E here, so it's right here, like that, right? And that's a 2. But there's also a D, and then that's actually a 9th. Like that. It's a 9th away from each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it's a D sus2 or a D add 9, but there's no F sharp, so it's really not a complete D chord. It doesn't have the F sharp in it. It's really more like a D5. Let's see if I've got a D5 here. There's a D5, like that. Right? I've got the D and the A and then the D again. Like that. And whenever you have a chord, there's a complete D chord. When you take that middle note out, it's called the 3rd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you take that middle note out, then you've got what we call a D5, because you got a D and then you got the 5th above, a perfect 5th above. It's called a D5. Okay? This is really important if you're going to play Get Back by the Beatles, and we'll talk about that in a second. So there's our D sus2. If you don't play that E, it's a D5. Let's go to that next one I've got on the screen. Oh, D add 9. I put D add 9 on here because it's essentially like a D add 9. I used to think this was a D9 chord because I didn't realize that you had to have the 7 to really call it a D9. In my early theoretical education, I didn't really realize that. So I used to call it a D9, but really it's a D add 9. Okay, D with a F sharp bass. The way I do this most of the time is not this way with the thumb on the top, because my hand position here, what happens is that if I'm going from a G chord to a D with an F sharp bass like that, then my hand position has to go like this, and I have to bring it back to be able to do that. So what I do is I play the D chord with my pinky, like I showed you a second ago, and then I put this finger up top, because then what I get, let's see if I can get you to look at that. There's my, let's see if I can do that. There we go. there's my G chord, and then I bring it back, and so this part of my hand right here is very similar, right? The wrist and the hand. See that? So this is what it looks like on the front. There we go. I'm just looking at it in the screen. And my left hand, the wrist and the this part of the hand right here is not moving very much, so it's really quick. Right? You can do that really quickly. Okay, let's go and see what else I've got. I already talked about D5. Here's another D5. Whenever we have a D and the A note like this, okay, these are the same notes actually. Except way up here, your strings are a lot shorter than when the D, open D. Hear that note? That's actually the same exact note because the vibrations per second is exactly the same. But you'll notice that the tone is a lot different. I haven't done anything to the tone on my guitar. In fact, let me turn the tone knob all the way up. Hear the difference in it? Here's that D5. I'm doing kind of a bluesy thing there. If I do it down here, that sounds similar to this. But here's the D5 down here. Open D string, second fret on the B, on the on the G string. Now I can go to the 5th fret here on the A string, 7th fret. Listen to the difference. E string, 10th fret, 12th fret on the A string. Totally different sound. Well, some people may not realize it, but the longer the strings, then the more trebly they sound, right? The more it gets darker as you get up the neck. So it depends on what kind of sound you want, where you play that. This is a really bluesy kind of idea. In fact, in the thumbnail, I put "get back" D chords, and so what I meant to say here, Jojo was a man, whatever the words are. So if you're just starting out, one way you can do this. In fact, in the Beatles song "Get Back," they're playing this A5. I'm not sure exactly what the rhythm is because it's something like that. Right, so here's my A5. Going to my D5. Back to A5. G, D. Now if I do it up here, oh wait, A5 to this D5. Oh, wrong chord. See that? Now I've seen some, I looked at a couple tutorials. I looked at Carl Brown, Guitar Lessons 365. Like Carl Brown, I really love him a lot. He talked about doing that particular thing up here. Like that for the Get Back song. And I looked at somebody else, and I don't remember what his name is because I never was subscribed to him before, but he had a really good video. I'll have to look it up. It's in my history. Really fun, that bluesy sound. Okay, I got that D5 on the screen forever, right? Okay. So I just turned off the screen there. The chords just went away. Yeah. D5, D, D7, D with an F sharp bass, D add 9, or D sus2. That's a really important chord. Why do you need to know these chords, especially, and your notes? so that you can move them around on the neck and you can actually really work with those. Really appreciate you being here. Okay, anything else we need to do? Is there any questions? I see no questions in the comments here. You can always ask questions. Now, I'm going to take off in a minute or two, in a few minutes, and we're going to go over and I'm going to talk to my supporters on Rock Out Loud. We have a hangout that I do after every live stream, and we get together and people show up and we ask questions and talk about stuff, and sometimes we don't always talk about guitar, but sometimes we do. And people ask me questions, and when they do, then I answer them. And anyway, it's really great. If you'd like to become a supporter, look in the description for links down there. Is there anything else I need to do? You know, you always need to stick around to the end because sometimes I say something really important right at the end of the video. Okay. Any questions? No questions. Thank you for being here. I'm going to take off. Thanks for being here. This is a little bit about the D chords today. Remember that the C, A, G, E, D, these are really important chords. You know, the caged system. C, A, G, E, D, C. Let's see. Wait. I'll do it again. C, A, G, E, D. There we go. Those are the chords for the cage system. You need to know those because you can move them up the neck. It's really kind of cool. Okay, we'll talk to you later. See ya.